So as it turns out, Nintendo is not the most greedy gaming company. That's right, folks. Xbox messed up so bad with their attempt at increasing the price of Game Pass Ultimate that they are already trying to walk back that price increase. And no, I am not kidding, the backlash was actually that bad. In fact, over the last 2 weeks, only 2 weeks, Xbox has had so many fumbles that their entire gaming business is literally collapsing in real time. And this is probably one of those instances where you're saying, wow, the YouTuber is exaggerating and he's so hyperbolic and dramatic, and I promise you it is actually that bad. In fact, today we're going to do a deep dive on the collapse of Xbox and everything that has happened over the last 2 weeks, because I can't believe how quickly all of this has gone down. It's like they waited for me to go on vacation before they started burning their entire thing to the ground. It's actually insane. But before we jump in, of course, what's going on, guys? Cheers. I just want to thank everybody who's been hyping the video releases lately. It really does help out tiny channels like this a ton. Let's jump right in here. At the very beginning, on September 19th 2025, Xbox raised their console prices in the United States a second time. They raised prices again. Now let me remind you, the Xbox Series X came out in 2020 in the United States for $500, and after this second price increase, we can see that the disc model is $650, which is a 30% increase in price, which means if you had bought thousands of these Series X consoles at launch, you would have gotten a great return on your investment, better than plenty of stocks out there. A 30% increase is insane. And shortly after Xbox raised their prices a second time, we finally got confirmation on the ROG Xbox Ally X, not only its pre-order date but its price. And if we go to the website here, you can see that the ROG Xbox Ally starts at $600 and the top tier premium version has a $1,000 price point. And this, in my opinion, did not get enough backlash from the community. I know a lot of people covered it. People talked about how ridiculous the price was, but I need you guys to understand that when the Switch 2 came out and it was announced that it was $450 or $500 with the bundle, people lost their minds. They had an absolute meltdown. People were saying, oh, Nintendo is supposed to be the most affordable gaming console of everybody on the market. And since then, people have tried to rewrite history. By the way, people always like to say, oh, nobody hated on the console price, it was the $80 games. No, I was there in the live stream when they announced the Switch 2 officially. I remember because I was on a flight at the time and I was watching the chat and I was checking Twitter after. People had a meltdown over the price of the Switch 2. And so Xbox releasing their handheld with a top of the line price of $1,000, literally double the price of a bundle for Switch 2. That is absolutely insane. This is a glorified Steam Deck, and I understand that a lot of people will actually potentially like it depending on the consumer, but to me, this is basically dead on arrival. There is absolutely no reason to purchase this thing. It's actually comically expensive and years late to the party. Like, it is truly depressing how awful this is as a product in the current marketplace. Okay, after we learned the exorbitant price of the ROG Xbox Ally and after the second increase to their console prices, we started to get wind of users saying that they could not find the Xbox available at Costco. People on Twitter were posting that if you go to Costco's website and you search up the Xbox, nothing shows up, and people realized that in their local stores you could not find the Xbox hardware any longer. And we actually got a report on the same day that IGN revealed the price for the ROG Xbox Ally. We have a report from Costco saying, quote, we don't have any plans going forward to carry an Xbox console. So on one hand, you've got them releasing super expensive handhelds and raising the prices of their console. Meanwhile, retailers can't even sell out of their existing stock, and it's so bad that they think it's not even worth selling anymore. But wait, it actually gets worse than that, because people noticed Sam's Club having massive clearance sales on their Xbox hardware. You could see at Video Game Deals over on Twitter posted this. It is pictures from a Sam's Club employee saying that they're selling the Xbox Series X 1 terabyte for $280. So it was originally $500. They're selling it for $280. Meanwhile, Xbox is trying to raise the price. Xbox wants $600 for the digital version. So here you could see Xbox learning an extremely valuable business lesson that Nintendo actually learned a couple of weeks ago with their Amiibo, and and their other accessories, as well as the original Switch and Switch OLED. Because if you guys have been following the channel, you'll know that Nintendo tried to raise the price of all their amiibo, and then just a few days ago GameStop had a 70% off sale on a huge array of different amiibo, selling them for $6 because they're not selling. And the same thing happened with the old Switch model. They tried to raise the price of the old Switch, you know, the one from 2017, as well as the Switch OLED, and immediately after Walmart lowered the price. They didn't raise it, they lowered it by $50 on their website, because again, supply and demand is what actually matters here. And if people aren't buying your stuff at whatever your price is, great news, they're definitely not buying it for a higher price. And that's when the market itself, the customers and the retailers, are the ones who actually will control the price of what these things sell at. Now let me be clear here, Sam's Club has not released an official statement from corporate like Costco did, but I think the writing is on the wall here. But it actually gets worse, folks, and trust me, I know you're wondering about the Game Pass stuff, and we will cover that later in this video. We'll talk about how they're trying to walk back the prices. But shortly after Sam's Club started having their massive discounts on the hardware in their store, customers at Walmart started to notice that Walmart was actually not using the Xbox cabinets to sell that many Xbox products. This user put, yeah, they def not making another Xbox after this, man. Lamau, Walmart is not real. Here you can see obviously the Walmart games cabinet filled with Switch 2 games, and all of the Xbox stuff is stuffed at the bottom here because nobody actually cares. This quote tweet has 22,000 likes. This user also said, wait, it's actually so over, another 15,000 likes. And this user actually said, my local Walmart literally puts movies in the Xbox section. Lamau, here you could see the same thing, the Xbox cabinet filled with literal DVDs, boys, DVDs, digital video discs. I think that's what it stands for. I didn't Google it, I have no idea, but okay, fair enough, there's some Xbox stuff in here, right? But if Walmart thinks it's more important or more profitable to put DVDs in front of customers' faces rather than the Xbox games, which the cabinet is actually made for, you are cooked, Xbox. You are actually cooked. It is literally over. If you guys don't know, shelf space in these big box retailers is extremely premium. Just the foot traffic throughout Walmarts across the nation alone is worth thousands and thousands of dollars in just marketing, just walking by a product and seeing it with your eyes. It's really valuable to be on these shelves. And so if Walmart thinks that that valuable shelf space is better used for DVDs, you're done, Xbox. It's over, okay? But it actually gets so much worse. Okay, so now let's move into week 2 of the collapse, okay? All of that was just in 1 week. Now let's talk about what happened late last week and earlier this week. Xbox then tried to raise the price of their Game Pass Ultimate subscription, okay? I'm sure you've seen this by now. Every single YouTuber has covered this, but the Game Pass Ultimate subscription price, they tried at least, to raise it from $20 to $30. That is literally a 50% increase in the monthly subscription price for Game Pass. That's right, folks, $30 a month for the highest tier plan of Xbox Game Pass, which, by the way, that's the tier that you need if you want to get access to new games on day one. This was like the biggest draw for the Xbox. This was like kind of the final pillar of their business model. This was like the one thing that the Xbox fanboys could say, well, you know, we don't have many exclusives and PlayStation has destroyed us when it comes to console sales, and the Switch is in a whole nother stratosphere when it comes to success. At least we've got good value. At least if you have an Xbox and you get Game Pass for $20 a month, you get day one access to the newest releases, and it's a great deal. And that was true, but is no longer the case. I mean, $30 a month, that's almost half the price of lots of new games these days. And when you consider the fact that games like Silksong are $20, it's like, why would I lock myself into a recurring $30 a month subscription? It makes no sense. And in fact, most people felt that way because the Xbox Game Pass site actually crashed after this announcement. People were trying really hard to cancel their subscription because they realized that this is just absurd. And you could see this is what the website looked like. It just died. Like the website just completely died. But don't take my word for it. Let's take a look at what Google Trends has to say for the search term cancel Xbox Game Pass. You could see for 2 years it's been pretty much steady, and then whoop, oh, it it spiked right on October 3rd. That was the day that they announced that the price would be going up to $30. I mean, this is literally vertical. It literally goes vertical. Everyone Googled that exact thing. And the funny part is that some users, after canceling their Game Pass Ultimate, they logged back in to see a full page advertisement for Game Pass Ultimate as a way to say like, hey, like, we know you canceled, but do you want to come back? Did you change your mind yet? Or it's embarrassing. It's actually embarrassing, so much so that GameStop was clowning them by saying, hey, we're still gonna sell it for 20 bucks. They're just gonna brush it off. This is the official GameStop Twitter account. They said, we will continue to sell Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for $20 a month in store and online. So this was a rare GameStop W, and honestly, I don't know exactly how they're able to pull this off. I mean, realistically, they probably just bought a bunch of the cards from Microsoft years ago when they just have inventory of it, and they're just like, hey, we're gonna do everything in our power to get some goodwill with the customers again, and they already paid for them, so it's not like it costs them more to sell it for the same price. They already factored it into the business model, right? So they're just like, we'll just keep selling them until we run out. That's my assumption. But when GameStop is the good guy here, you know that you've messed up in a big way. I mean, we're talking about the company that will literally look you in the eyes, tell you a game that they sold you is brand new, even though there's no plastic wrap on it. They're like, yeah, it's a brand new game. I'm like, buddy, it's open. Nope, it's new. How is it new? It's open. And then you try to turn around and sell it back to them, and you just paid 40 for it, and they're going to give you a nickel. Okay, so if GameStop is the good guy in your story, you really screwed up. And here's some fun data for you. IGN actually released this poll saying which Xbox Game Pass tier will you subscribe to. About 20% of people are still going to get Xbox Game Pass, but 53.8% of people said that they are not interested in Xbox Game Pass whatsoever. That is out of 41,000 voters. Now, this data could be skewed because lots of people are angry who are reading this article, but even still, kind of hard to argue with that data there. But here's part of the reason why I think they tried to raise the price of Xbox Game Pass. Kotaku actually reported that Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on Game Pass costed Microsoft $300 million in lost sales. Last year's Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was the first entry in the hit multiplayer military shooter to launch day one on Game Pass in what reportedly turned out to be an expensive experiment for Microsoft. By the way, $300 million is nothing to Microsoft. Let's not pretend. But anyway, according to Bloomberg, making the game available for free to paid subscribers on console and PC cost the tech giant $300 million in lost sales of the 2024 bestseller. That data point adds some interesting context to Microsoft's controversial decision to hike the price of Game Pass Ultimate by 50% this week. The former longtime head of Activision, Bobby Kotick, went on record during the 2023 FTC trial over Microsoft's acquisition of the company, saying that he didn't think adding games like Call of Duty to subscription services made, quote, commercial sense. Quote, I have a general aversion to the idea of multi-game subscription services, he said at the time. But following the acquisition, by the way, Microsoft did acquire Activision Blizzard. Microsoft did just that. According to Circana's US market data, sales of 2024's Black Ops 6 were 23% higher than Modern Warfare 3 sales over the same period, but 82% of those sales were on PlayStation compared to Xbox and PC. And this did not have people happy. This article was posted just 3 days ago amid Xbox layoffs and a 50% Game Pass price hike. Former FTC chair slams, quote, too big to care Microsoft Activision Blizzard buyout that's, quote, harming both gamers and developers. Just a few years ago, the United States Federal Trade Commission fought to block Microsoft's $70 billion giga acquisition of Activision Blizzard, arguing that the deal is bad for competition, customers, and workers. Now, wouldn't you know, industry consolidation is bad no matter who it is that's doing the consolidating, and the FTC's former chair chimed into the recent discourse to basically say, quote, I told you so. Here's the former FTC chair's actual quote. They said, Microsoft's acquisition of Activision has been followed by significant price hikes and layoffs, harming both gamers and developers. Lena Khan, whose FTC moved to block the acquisition, recently tweeted, as we've seen across sectors, increasing market consolidation and increasing prices often go hand in hand. As dominant firms become too big to care, they can make things worse for their customers without having to worry about about the consequences. Well, I mean, she's right about one thing. Prices have definitely gone up, but I'll say there certainly are some consequences, as we just saw, because the spike in cancellations is dramatic. And of course, this also comes months after Microsoft laid off a ton of workers, shut down a studio, and canceled a handful of games, including the Perfect Dark reboot, Rare's Everwild, and Contraband, that co-op heist game from the Just Cause devs. By the way, I'm pretty sure there's more layoffs coming for Microsoft and probably Xbox as well, so if you thought the bloodbath was over, I'm sorry to say it's probably not. And after all of this craziness with Game Pass, there started to be rumors spread around Twitter from credible sources saying that a next generation Xbox console might not even happen anymore. Microsoft is reportedly planning to axe consoles and go full third party, with xCloud being the only platform for Xbox. Here we can see the actual post over on a NeoGAF thread. I'm surprised this website still exists, by the way, but Sneaker SO says, without going into too much detail, not long after the last round of layoffs, next one should be coming in Q1 2026, by the way, and it's going to be just as massive as the last one. Yikes. Some rumblings out of Xbox started coming out that were a little hard to believe. The ramifications of the Call of Duty Game Pass gambit not working out were just starting to get properly measured, but the thing that really stuck out to me was that suddenly really concrete plans for an actual Microsoft Xbox hardware went from being definite to up in the air, which was really startling given that this was meant to be out relatively soon. It was one of those situations where, despite folks being told, hey, we want to pull the trigger on this in 2026, the steps you would need to take in the lead up to delivering a new console gen weren't being met. Lots of things that were quote sure things started getting pushed, the Costco retailer pulling Xbox, and apparently they are one of many that we'll learn about soon, told me all I needed to know. To sum it up, the future of Xbox is software publishing with a significantly honed in focus on profitable IPs such as Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Minecraft, Candy Crush, and Forza Horizon. Cloud gaming being the home of the Xbox platform, transitioning Game Pass into basically becoming the point of entry subscription for xCloud access, which will continue to drive its price tag higher. By the way, they aren't done there just yet either, and releasing their software on any device that has a marketplace and users willing to buy their titles. Maybe some OEM thing will take up the Xbox name, but given what is clearly a collapse in favorable mind share and faith in said brand, I'm not even sure a third-party OEM is going to want to have an Xbox console by the time Microsoft is done with their reorienting of the division. Really bleak post there. And this is what I meant before when I said that Xbox is collapsing in real time. You might not have noticed it, you might not think it's happening because you're a big fanboy, and trust me, I love Halo 1, 2, and 3. I loved Gears of War 1, 2, and 3. I love Fable 1, 2, 3. All right, those trilogies were insane to me. Some of my most formative years as a gamer were spent on the Xbox 360, so I love Xbox, but I'm telling you, bro, it's over. It's over. I know it's over. Now listen, I know what you're saying. There was actually a reassuring statement from Microsoft about all of this. Okay, Microsoft assures gamers Xbox hardware plans remain strong amid latest rumors. This was posted over on Windows Central. They say Xbox isn't going all cloud, next gen consoles are still coming, and rumors of Xbox's console demise have been greatly exaggerated. I don't know if that's up to you, buddy. I'm gonna be honest with you. Xbox failing is really no longer up to Xbox if no one's buying them. If retailers don't even want to carry them, it's pretty much like everyone just agreed it's over. You could release something if you want, but all your fans have already gone to PlayStation or PC, and you're not even competing with a Nintendo anymore. Like, Nintendo is light years ahead of you, and that's hilarious considering how much negative press Nintendo has gotten over the last 6 to 9 months. The article says, amid swirling rumors of a hardware exit, Microsoft reassured gamers on October 5th that Xbox remains committed to a next-gen console development, contradicting claims stemming from recent price hikes and a growing disconnect with its community. So Microsoft literally said, and I'm quoting here, "We are actively investing in our future first-party consoles and devices designed, engineered, and built by Xbox. For more details, the community can revisit our agreement announcement with AMD." So they announced over the summer back in June that Microsoft and AMD have officially entered a new multi-year partnership for first-party Xbox hardware. Look, I'm gonna be honest, like I said, it's not really even up to Xbox anymore if there continues to be an Xbox. It's actually in the market's hands. If people are not buying it, if it is not profitable, they're not going to keep doing it. Okay, if we're being honest, Microsoft makes so much money that they actually don't care about Xbox console sales. It is a speck of dust in the wind. Okay, we're talking about hardware sales being a portion of their profit. It's less than 10%. Okay, now I know they make a lot from gaming. I'm not talking about their gaming segment. I'm talking about hardware sales of the Xbox is probably 3 to 8% of their total yearly profit. In fact, Microsoft's intelligent cloud segment is the sector that has the biggest share of their revenue. In fiscal year 2024, their server products and tools, which includes Azure, server software, and enterprise services, made up about 39.9% of their total revenue. Okay, that's just one segment of Microsoft's business. They also have all of their productivity and business processes segments. Okay, so we're talking like Microsoft Office, Dynamics, related software like that. So in the grand scheme of things, if there's no demand for a next Xbox system, which by the way, the demand for the existing Xbox system is like rock bottom. There's literally no one. I'm sorry, I know that some people get into their echo chambers online, and so they don't actually like see the light. It's the allegory of the cave, right? They see the shadows on the wall, they think that's reality. Okay, they see all these people that they follow on Twitter who are all Xbox fanboys, and they think, oh my god, everyone loves Xbox. Buddy, in the real world, ain't nobody owning an Xbox. Okay, literally, it is, if they do, it's collecting dust. You know, it is hard for me to imagine the current Xbox team releasing a successful console in 2026 when they failed the last two so tremendously. It has been a spectacular failure over the last couple of years. I don't think those people in charge are capable of doing the right thing because they're not connected with the consumer, right? I just went over Microsoft as a mega corporation. Like, they don't make their money from selling directly to consumers like you and I. They clearly, I mean, this isn't even my opinion, they don't know what gamers want. I mean, like, let's just be real. Okay, the numbers speak for themselves. And how could they know? They're busy making way more money doing all the other stuff with Microsoft Office and all their server things. So like, I'm not blaming them. I mean, Microsoft as a corporation is tremendously profitable, and it's a fantastic business model, right? But when it comes to Xbox specifically, they've actually been failing left, right, and center. So I don't know if really a next generation Xbox is necessarily up to them. It's up to the consumer if they're actually going to buy it. And all of that brings us to today's news. This literally just came out as I started recording this video. Microsoft delays Xbox Game Pass Ultimate price hikes for some subscribers. Little asterisk right there. Only some subscribers. Let's get into it because this does actually matter a lot. Current subscribers in some European countries won't be affected by Microsoft's Game Pass price hikes just yet. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they extended this to the USA as well, but as of right now, at the time of recording this is only breaking news for certain countries. After announcing a 50% price increase to Game Pass Ultimate last week, Microsoft now says this price increase will only currently affect new purchases and not existing subscribers in markets like Germany, Ireland, South Korea, Poland, and India. Quote, at this time, these increases will only affect new purchases and will not affect your current subscription for the market in which you reside, as long as you are on an auto recurring plan. All right, so you must have not canceled already, okay, and you have to be on auto pay. This was explained by Microsoft in an email that went out to some Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers overnight. Quote, should you choose to cancel your plan and repurchase, you will be charged at the new current rate. That's almost like a threat, right? They're trying to stem the bleeding. They're trying to say like, look, okay, everyone's already canceled, but for whatever reason you haven't canceled yet, and we want you to know that if you don't cancel, we won't charge you the increased price, but if you do, you lose it. You're no longer a valuable customer. Even if you resubscribe the next day, GG, it's up to $30, right? The article goes on to say the change in these countries is likely related to local regulations on subscription price changes, and it means in Ireland, existing subscribers with auto renew enabled will still be charged at the $17.99 monthly rate instead of the new $26.99 pricing. Microsoft notes in its email that existing subscribers in these markets will be notified, quote, at least 60 days in advance of price changes, meaning the changes won't go into effect for at least 2 more months. The halt in price increases in select markets is a change to what Microsoft announced last week. Quote, this updated pricing will go into effect on October 1st for new subscribers, and then at the next billing cycle, likely to be November 4th for current subscribers, said said Dustin Blackwell, director of gaming and platform communications at Microsoft, in a briefing with The Verge last week. So they did a quick 180 there in certain markets because either A, there was just too many cancellations and we're freaking out, or B, most likely there's just regulations that maybe they didn't realize. They're like, oh wait, we need to give them 60 days notice. Okay, just kidding, guys. Wait a minute, don't cancel just yet. Actually, basically, so you can keep it. It's probably both. Let's be real, it's probably both. So at the end of the day, in the last 2 weeks, probably since I would say September 19th, we have seen a tremendous deterioration of the Xbox brand image in such a short period of time that I think this is actually going to be studied. And that's why I wanted to make this video documenting the timeline of exactly how this happened, because we're going to look back, you know, in 4 months when Xbox announces that they've canceled their plans with AMD, right? And they say, hey, we're actually not going to do another Xbox console. I could be wrong. All right, I could be completely wrong. What do I know? I'm just a goofball on YouTube. I'm not an authority figure. I don't know what I'm talking about, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of months we get that email, we get that news report, okay, them coming out and saying like, hey, we're going third party, digital only, GG. All right, but when that happens, we're gonna look back and say, what happened to Xbox? What actually happened? How did Xbox implode so rapidly? And you're gonna be able to come back to this video and you're gonna see the exact timeline of events for how this gaming giant actually collapsed. It's actually so sad. And really, like, if I'm being honest, if I can just give you my opinion for a second, okay, no more of this citing sources and like showing you exactly what happened. We're just going to talk about my opinion. Okay, I think Xbox has already collapsed. I do. I think that the higher ups haven't told those that are lower on the totem pole, but I think that the higher ups probably already have a date in mind for sunsetting the Xbox. That's my opinion. I think they already know it. I think that it's just such a small percentage of, like, even if you look at their gaming revenue, they get a lot more from digital and Game Pass and things like that. Although now I don't really know what that's going to look like. But my point is, I think that decision has already been made by the people that matter. And I think the people that are lower on the totem pole simply don't know it yet. That's if I were to guess, like, that's just my opinion. I think that's what's really going on here. I think it's over, right? I mean, I'm waiting for Black Friday, but I'm hoping I can get the new Gears of War on my PlayStation 5 for a good deal. And the fact that I'll be able to play Gears of War Reloaded on PS5 to me is symbolic of it's just over. It's over. I mean, what are we talking about? It's over. Okay. When the Master Chief Collection gets announced for the Switch 2 next year, that's when everyone else is going to realize that it's over. But I'm telling you right now, it's already over, boys. I'm sorry. And look, I got a whole shelf of games back there. This is all Xbox 360 games. Most of it is, at least all the white stuff here. This is all Xbox 360 games. We got a couple of original Xbox games and stuff like that. But I love the Xbox. I really do. I'm not an Xbox hater, but when you look at the series of events over the last 2 weeks, it's really hard to paint them in a positive light. I mean, they just simply don't know what the customer wants. It really comes down to that. And really, if we're gonna actually look at the timeline of events, we kind of have to go back to the launch of the Xbox One. Remember when they tried to bundle the Kinect and the fact that it was always online? They were like, yeah, you need to always be connected online, and everyone was like, great news, we're buying a PS4. And then that was it. That was actually the beginning of the end for Xbox, if we're being honest. But really, like, the last 2 weeks, it went from like a slow bleed to just vertically down. Just it's over, right? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see over the next couple of months to see if they do actually announce a next generation console. But personally, I think it's over. You guys can let me know what you think in the comment section below, and while you're down there, consider dropping a thumbs up on the video. It really helps out small channels like this a ton. Subscribe if you're new here. I know 92% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel, so you might think you are. Click the button if you're not, and click the bell to be notified the next time I upload breaking gaming news. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.